Okay, we are live.
Hey, good morning, Patriots. This is your friend and mine, Tony Schaefer. We are in for Ed, and we are refining our part of the show because we want to provide you an outstanding product. And with me today is my cohort, friend, colleague, executive producer of The Hard Truth of Tony Schaefer. I think I know that guy. Chris Cordani. Chris, say good morning to the good folks in the
Uh,
audience.
Good morning, and I think Tony, I think we're not on live. It's me again. So hold on.
Which you need, by the way, you need to hit. Oh yeah, you hit the wrong one. Don't do what Ed told us to do to wake up Patriots. You got to hit the Rumble one. You got to hit Ed TV.
Hit TV, huh? Okay, hold on a sec. I was told to hit everything. So, oh, I see. Go live. Nope, that's wrong. Sorry. Okay, we're on. All right, we are on now. Apologies to all. Okay, we're on. We're live.
Good, good morning. We're
we'll
on.
get this rolling.
Good morning, Vietnam. Yes. Good morning, Patriots. Tony Schaefer here. We are now shaping before your very eyes our part of Wake Up Patriots. So you'll excuse the dust as we put together our team, and my team consists of the great, talented, forever living in the 80s, Chris Cordani. Chris, say good morning to the good folks.
Good morning to the good folks. There we go.
That's right. So we are going to be in for Ed a couple of times per week, which, gives us an opportunity for hilarity and all sorts of hijinks, which, as you all know, I like doing. And this morning, I'm actually wearing one of our friend, the great guy who makes these great T-shirts, Sea of Mud, and he's given me the Heartbeat of America T-shirt, which is Donald Trump's signature, which is kind of true. And I'm wearing it today because, of course, we're now awaiting the trial outcome of the Alvin Bragg show trial. Real quick on that, why is it? Why is it, Chris? You don't think that Alvin Bragg dressed like Joseph Stalin during the trial? I think he would have really looked good in that kind of high collar shirt, green with the red stars. Why do you think he didn't do that? I don't understand.
Because he doesn't have a cool enough mustache.
Ah,
That's what it is. It has to be
that's
big and
true.
bushy, like General Melchit's mustache from the Blackadder. There we go. Or
You gotta
maybe
have, yeah, you gotta have the mustache to pull off the look, right?
maybe Alvin Bragg. Maybe Alvin Bragg would look better in one of those handlebar mustaches. Remember the Goose Gossage mustache
Oh,
from
like
1977 or
Sydney.
Alf
What was that?
Robusky?
Dudley Do Right, and they had Sydney, whatever the guy with the top
Oh,
hat and the
Snively Whiplash. That's right.
Snively Whiplash. Yeah,
Yeah. Dick
that's a good one.
Dastardly.
Yeah, Dick Dastardly. Dick Dastardly.
I think
Well,
it would be perfect.
Alvin is too big for Dick Dastardly. He's maybe a dick, but not dastard. Well, maybe I don't know. I don't want to get into that right now because we have other things to talk about. So we had a very big action-packed day yesterday. We're going to go through a lot of that today, and we see all the Patriots checking in. Good morning, Patriots. There, I see all the folks. Yes, eye candy's here. I appreciate you guys recognizing my presence. It's always amazing, and everybody comments on it. So let's get right into it. So Ed has asked us to continue to do all the great things he does on his show. One of them is Jesus Calling. So this morning, Jesus Calling, which is I did bring it up, I think, didn't I, or did I not? Hold on, let me bring it up here because I've got to
Yes,
find.
Tony has it all.
I do have it all, but I got to find the right one. So Ed sent me a ton of stuff. Here we go.
What I could do is I could sing London
Okay, for
Calling.
today, Jesus Calling. Well, Jesus is calling. I just hope he's not calling collect. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay.
That's got to hurt.
Too
expensive.
Anytime somebody calls you collect, it's usually a bad sign, right? I mean, I don't know if a good phone call I've ever gotten is collect. Like, anyway, Jesus Calling May 29th. What? All right, let me go. Okay, I am with you, God, with you. My presence enfolds holds you to radiance, love, and nothing to include the brightest blessings and the darkest trials can separate you from me. Some of my children find me more readily during dark time when difficulties force them to depend on me. Others feel closer to me when their lives are filled with good things. They respond with thanksgiving and praise, thus opening wide the door to my presence. I know precisely what you need to draw near to me. Go through each day looking for what I have prepared for you. Accept every event as my hand tailored provision for your needs. When you view your life this way, the most reasonable response is to be thankful. Do not reject any of my gifts. Find me in every situation. Amen. I love that. That's good. And I actually do find all the situations a gift, no matter how difficult. And Chris, I'll say this: the more difficult the situation, the better opportunity it was to learn from. Trust me, I had a conversation with a close friend about this very last night, so I get it.
Oh,
So this was good. He didn't call collect, right? Jesus did not call collect, and this was a good one. So there you go.
no, he doesn't have to do that. But I can tell you this: that's failures and learning from messing up and failing and getting things done poorly, and then fixing that and making everything a lot better. With whether it's your work, your life, or perhaps us on our technical end here.
Yeah, that's right.
It
Jesus is
all
going to
works.
influence our ability to do the show. That's right. Pray, everybody, pray for our technical staff, which is Chris,
No,
and
that should be fine.
and his ability to fulfill. Let Jesus envelop him. May, may the power of God. What's Chris? Who needs De Niro, otherwise known as Robert De Niro. That's right, Robert De Niro. Right?
Yes. Oh, yes. Robert De Niro. He was quite the well. Let's put it this way. He put on quite the show yesterday. I'll tell you that. In fact, what he did was the Biden campaign, the Biden Harris campaign. What they did was they decided to put on a show right near the Trump trial outside downtown New York City, where the reporters already were. I figure, hey, we'll put two of those J6 cops and Robert De Niro together and some other loudmouths and try to make something happen. We're trying to get some attention for the Biden campaign, which is already stirring. And boy, he
Yeah.
was kind of a clown there. Uh, I do have a clip of this for people who didn't see this yet,
Oh,
and I'm
good.
sure many of you did. Uh, I have about 4 minutes, so we can stop in the middle and just talk about what this guy actually said and how he said it. And I'm playing it towards the end because he started to really break down. I mean,
Yeah.
the man just melted down during the whole thing. It was to me, I would say it was rather embarrassing, if you will.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get that up in just a few seconds here. But it's Tony. It's amazing that the Biden administration actually had to uh, lag onto or let's say, grab onto the coattails of something happening to his opponent to get some attention. So Tony, let's play a clip.
Yeah. I'm hoping you will.
Okay, good. Okay, let's get that rolling. Okay, here we are. Here is
Yeah. I can't
here
do
is
it.
yeah, that's right. Here is Robert De Niro starting to mouth off
Or
about Trump.
Denise.
Yeah,
Denise.
Denise De Niro.
Okay, Denise.
The
When
transition.
Trump ran in 2016, it was like a joke. This buffoon running for president. No, never could happen. We'd forgotten the lessons of history that showed us other clowns who weren't taken seriously until they became vicious dictators. With Trump, we have a second chance, and no one is laughing now. This is the time to stop him by voting him out once and for all. We don't want to wake up after the election saying, what, again? My God, what the hell have we done? We can't have that happen again. Yesterday was Memorial Day. It's a good time to reflect on how Americans fought and died so that we may enjoy the freedoms guaranteed to us by a democratic government. A government that, as President Lincoln said, of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Under Trump, this kind of government will perish from the earth.
Yes, he's trying to panic everybody here. See the big burly guys behind him, Tony?
Yeah.
Yeah. The two of them are those J6 cops, or the
Yeah.
J6 cops who were accused of lying on the witness stand just to jail some people. There's
Right.
the Oath Keepers thing, everything else. So the tough guy, or the guy who pretends to be a tough guy, is a lot tougher in real life when he has these tougher guys behind him. Shall
Well,
we continue?
yeah, keep going for a little bit more. I'm fascinated by the
I don't
fact
escape
that he didn't learn his script very well. Just saying.
Yeah, that's right. For an actor, his read is poor.
No, wait. Maybe I do mean to scare you.
Yeah.
If Trump
Yeah,
returns
we
to
know
the White
actors,
House,
don't we?
you can kiss these freedoms goodbye
Kiss the freedoms
that we all
goodbye.
take for granted. And elections, forget about it. That's over. That's done. If he gets in, I
Forget
can
about
tell you right now,
Forget about it.
he will never leave. He
Like
will
Franklin
never
Delano Roosevelt.
leave. You know that. He
Yeah,
will never
He left
leave.
last time.
What does that mean? Is that the country we
Never.
want to live in? Do we want
Never.
him running this country and saying, I'm not leaving, I'm dictator for life?
There you go. That's another one. I'll show the entire where he's melting down afterward. But think about this. He actually says dictator for life, and the guy's never going to leave. Does he ever know his history? It's the left who has never left its position in America.
Yeah.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Let's start with him. Yeah.
So let's break down that a little bit because first off, we have a republic, not a democracy. Any kind of democratic. It's like no, it's a republic. And to that point, Chris, this is fear mongering and bad fear mongering because again, if this guy was committed, he would have learned his script. I think what happened, the Democrats got desperate and said, "Hey, Bobby or Denise, depending on what day it is, And by the way, I think this is an effective. This when you take too much estrogen, this is what happens. This is just tell your kids no when they ask for estrogen, especially the stuff in supermarkets. Don't want that stuff.
Too much
And
of that Hollywood.
that's estrogen right there. That's like, oh my God, he's gonna never gonna leave. So seriously, I mean, everybody's been. I went on Facebook this morning. You all probably did too. It's like it's all De Niro, dressed up like the shouting guy in the green and in transition. He's in transition. He's always been a moron and a mook. And George, if you're watching, George said use the term mook, and I am. He's a mook,
right?
And this is bad. So one other thing I want to say before we move on to other things about Bobby or Denise. I think. What do you like better, Chris, Denise or Bobby? I think because you could call a girl Bobby too. By the way, there's Bobby girls.
Roberta. There we go. That works. Roberta.
Yes. I think Roberta. I don't know. I still like Denise because it goes better with De Niro.
Denise De Niro.
Oh. Do you think he'd look good in like high heels? I don't know.
Well, what I think he's doing, and here's what I believe: he's actually trying out for a role in a live-action Simpsons movie coming up. The role of the Abe Simpson. He actually sounds like Abe Simpson is. You want to hear him? Want to watch him melt down before we move along? We have a great guest.
Yeah.
All right. Let's. This is him melting down because he.
This is great. Yeah.
Yes.
On January 6th, while Republican lawmakers despicably tried to keep the loser Trump, in the White House, and Trump-inspired insurrectionists stormed the Capitol. Brave men and women from law enforcement put their lives on the line to defend this country, our democracy. They are the true heroes. These guys are the true heroes.
Yeah.
They stood and put their lives on the line for these lowlives, for Trump.
They lied under oath.
They lied under oath.
They lied under oath.
What are you
Who lied under oath?
They did.
Excuse me?
Those two traitors behind you.
They lied under oath? What are you saying?
You talking to me?
They're traitors.
You must be talking to me. There's no one else here.
I don't even know how to
laughing at him.
They stood there. They didn't have to. And there were other ones in there who probably were in with them a little bit too, and they found a way to get around. Not these guys.
It gets better.
They stood there and fought for us, for you.
All right, that's good, Chris. That's
you.
That's just enough. That's for you.
And he continues to melt down.
Forget about it.
Yeah, it's all over the place. You can find it on
No,
all over the internet. But it's
if
meltdown was
I were
fun.
De Niro, and I'm not, thank God, I'm not Bobby or Vanessa or Denise, I would have had George Takei show up. Oh my! And then anytime the crowd got out of control, he would say, "Sulu, get your sword out."
Yeah. Oh my.
Oh my! Oh my!
Oh, well, I again, what's going on right now is the Biden campaign is getting desperate. They are rolling out the celebrities. They're in that roll out the celebrity
Rolling.
mode.
I
Yep,
can't wait. Yeah,
and they need attention. They have to seek attention
they're gonna have to
by
roll Izzo out. That's for sure.
they have to seek attention by going by grabbing onto Trump's coattails, because wherever Trump's getting attention, that's where the reporters are.
Right.
And
Heartbeat of America.
yep, and the Biden-Harris campaign is basically so weak that it really needs the Trump attention to get its own attention, and they can't. And they
Speaking
dropped
of,
the ball there.
yeah. So speaking of the Biden administration, we have Mike McCormick joining us this morning, right, Chris?
Yes, we do. Mike,
And there's
welcome to the
Mike.
program.
Mike, good morning. Welcome to Wake Up Patriots.
Yes,
Hey, Tony. Hey, Chris. Good to see you guys again.
excellent to
So,
see you too.
yeah. So Mike is here to tell us about his book about Sleepy Joe Biden or Cottonmouth Joe Biden, or they write that song about Joe Biden, Cotton Eye Joe. Where are you going? Where are you from?
I was wondering as I was watching that clip about De Niro, wasn't he in Wag the Dog? Wasn't he in that movie?
He was.
Oh, yes, he
Yeah.
was.
So,
Here, I
He
have
was-
a, I have a I have a little piece of trivia about Robert De Niro. Remember that song the Bananarama did back in the 1980s called "Robert De Niro's Waiting"?
Yeah.
Well, it was
Speaking
supposed to be.
Italian. Yes, I remember that song. It's a
It
great
was
song.
supposed to be Al Pacino's Waiting, but it didn't
Oh,
fit with the song and the rhythm, so they switched to Robert De Niro. I believe they were fans of Al Pacino and wanted to do the song about him.
Huh.
They should
so
have.
well, back on Wag the Dog, I don't know if you knew, Mike, he played the testicles of the dog in that movie. It was a great movie.
Man,
It was great.
Heyo.
he read that script like he was the testicles of the dog.
Indeed.
That's low hanging fruit, guys.
Oh, hey-oh. It was turning into a morning zoo, for God's sake. That's going to have our ass.
I have to write some jingles now for it.
All right, so back to serious news. We got to focus. So Mike is here to talk about the case to impeach Joe Biden, no matter what flavor of Joe, Sleepy Joe, Cotton Eye Joe, Joseph Stalin. I don't know. He's kind of, Mike, he's like the evil man of all seasons, right? I mean, that's the Joe Biden we know.
He's a bad man. He's evil, and he's bringing a lot of other people into it. I just came up with a Substack over the last couple of weeks, probably 10 days, where I started looking into Joe Biden's association with Cardinal Theodore McCarrick. McCarrick is the disgraced cardinal who was basically a spiritual advisor to Democrats through the aughts and the Obama.
I remember this, yeah.
And he was a spiritual advisor because he was kind of liberal about gay priests and gay marriage. He was kind of liberal about giving priests communion for even if they, having priests give communion to liberal Democratic politicians,
Right.
even if they supported abortion. So in 2013, Pope Francis comes in, and McCarrick has done some videos where he's kind of taken sort of sly credit for that. Hey, I was there. I wasn't a voting guy, but I really behind the scenes helped him. And as soon as that happened, then Francis, with his very liberal views, started working in with the Obama administration. So what I've come up with is I started looking at how many times did McCarrick visit the White House in the visitor logs.
Yeah.
It was shocking. It was eye-opening. What really happened in 2014, he started going in regularly with Dennis McDonough, White House Chief of Staff.
Now, stop for a second. Dennis McDonough is the current Secretary of Veterans Affairs, just for the crowd to know.
Correct. And he's probably in that because he knows where the skeletons are and he can keep
Oh, yeah.
an eye on Joe from just across Lafayette Square. So he was the go-between for McCarrick going into the White House. In 2014, in early 2014, Obama goes to the Vatican and does a visit, his first personal negotiation with the Pope. Long time spent. They had a wide range of discussion. Immediately after that, McCarrick goes to Iran and starts talking to the Ayatollahs. And then the McCarrick and the Pope in May of 2014 go to the Holy Land. They talk to the Israelis, they talk to the Palestinians, they talk to the Jordanians. And they're starting to push behind the scenes the Obama-Iran deal, Iran nuclear deal. And so that goes on through McDonough for the next couple of years. But it's clear from the way they associated with each other, McCarrick was their point guy, and he was going to Iran. He went to Iran twice in 2014. He went in May and he went in December. And that's when they were pulling the heavy strings on trying to get this deal across the line. So then also what he did in 2014 is so all of a sudden in 2014, all these unaccompanied minor kids start showing up at the southern border. That's also associated with the Pope's positioning in the Catholic Church. Pope was very pro. He wanted to relax immigration policy. He wanted to help the poor immigrants coming through over the border and relax immigration policy. And he was vocal about that throughout and still is. Well, all of a sudden these kids start showing up. What happened was Biden comes up with this idea for the Alliance for Prosperity, and he hosts in the White House in July of 2014 the presidents of Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. Well, the president of Honduras, I've written in my book voluminously with great detail, was then associated with a cartel, the Sinaloa cartel. He was smuggling drugs in the U.S. by the ton. They were doing human trafficking across the border. And this guy had been supported by El Chapo himself as he was running for election. In February 2014, the DEA had his brother under electronic surveillance admitting, we're going to be smuggling drugs in the U.S. by the ton through our government. My brother's helping us. And Joe Biden knew that in 2016, in June, when he set up these meetings with this Alliance for Prosperity. Days after they have these meetings in the White House, and there's a photo of Biden meeting with the now former president of Honduras, a guy named Juan Orlando Hernandez, in the Roosevelt Room. Days after they have that meeting, McCarrick starts coming into the White House regularly to meet with McDonough. He's basically working with McDonough. He does 4 meetings in August and November to talk to McDonough about this Alliance for Prosperity. By November, they announce it publicly, and that process gave this guy Hernandez $500 million, American taxpayer dollars, through the Alliance for Prosperity in 2014, 2015, 2016. So $500 million over those 3 years. To do what? No one has ever talked about it. No one's ever looked into it. No one's investigated it. There they are. There's Hernandez and Biden. And so this is the Alliance for Prosperity. It came out of the Vatican. They helped. McCarrick was a key proponent of this. And this is McCarrick who in 2018 was defrocked as a cardinal because he had been raping altar boys as a priest and a bishop when he was in New Jersey in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Right. So let's break that down a little bit because, there's been allegations dogging Joe Biden, so to speak. Not that we're going back to wag the dog, but we could. And that, obviously you can't get past the Ashley Biden diary. You can't.
Right.
Not at all. Not at all.
Recently, they acknowledged that it's real. And I know when I tweeted this out, I got all sorts of hate from folks on X because, we don't know how old she was. It's like, it's like,
matter.
Excuse me. It's like, that's an excuse. Like, maybe she was old enough for age of consent. It's like, okay, that makes it better to shower with your dad. Really? So, I'm just fascinated, Mike, by the fact that everybody on the left seems to like ignore the horrendous ethics. I mean, there's no ethics. This is criminal behavior. And it sounds like there was this evil alliance between McCarrick and Biden to kind of cover each other's wrongdoing. Is that am I saying something too strong on that?
No, you're absolutely right on. I mean, Biden had McCarrick over. The reason I looked into McCarrick because of all the times I listened as his stenographer to his speeches and informal events at the Naval Observatory, he was always acknowledging McCarrick. Oh, Cardinal McCarrick's here. McCarrick was behind the scenes his personal spiritual advisor, and that's why they were close. Birds of a feather. You know, there's actually a bit in my book about I was at a Naval Observatory White House reception, Joe Biden's White House reception, Naval Observatory in December 2013. And this is just after, just as this whole Iran thing is getting kicked off and they're getting McCarrick in there a lot. Well, I'm standing there with my wife and we're just sort of noshing at the reception, at the, the table of refreshments. All of a sudden, Joe Biden appears in front of me and there's a bunch of little kids standing in front of him. He goes, "Hey, kids. You want to come up to my bed? You want to come upstairs and see my dog?" And the little kids are all there, and they're like, "Yeah, yeah!" And they start jumping up and down. Well, they're all dressed in their Sunday best and everything, and I'm looking at them like, "Where did Joe Biden come from? And where are the parents?" And all of a sudden, they zipped up the side stairways. There's 2 stairways in the Naval Observatory that I know of because Joe's described this in many of his speeches. They zip up the side stairway that goes to his bedroom suite. He always talked about he had a bedroom suite with a kitchen up there, and he'd come down the stairs and be right at the kitchen in the downstairs main kitchen. That's where he went. Seconds after they disappeared up the stairway, his press secretary comes sprinting across the room and sprints up the stairs behind her. And she was my boss. Her name's Kendra Barkoff. I'm looking at her going like, whoa. And she had a look of sheer panic on her face. So this was not a planned event. They didn't have permission from the parents. It was just Joe being unpresidential. And that's 2013. And from that point on, I knew this guy could never be president. And that's why I wrote my first book, Joe Biden Authorized and the 2020 Crack Up the Democratic Party, right there. And that's all I knew. But once I started digging into the laptop and the visitor logs, that's when I started finding the evil. So that's the evil that we have right now is the Vatican and the Obama-Biden White House working closely on the Iran nuclear deal, the Alliance for Prosperity, and they did stuff in China where they basically destroyed the Chinese Catholic Church to turn it over to the Xi Jinping's Chinese communists.
I'd like to talk more about that another day, just do a full breakout on that, Mike, because it seems to me so much of what the Chinese bought was Joe Biden's ability to be feckless and appear like he's helping, but then doing damage. And I think that was purposely orchestrated by the Chinese. But let's go back to the sexuality. I've been watching the chat. And one of the things one of the folks in the chat said, and I don't know which one it was, you go back and look in a second, is that Hunter Biden, it seems to me like was hypersexualized. And the only way you get that way, I'm not a psychologist, but I know a lot of psychologists. I think, you tend to be, you tend to get that way by having had it happen to you. I think that's an accurate way of putting it without getting us in trouble. So, do you think it's possible that Hunter Biden too took showers with his dad? Just asking.
I used to listen to Joe Biden talk about almost everything on his mind, which is really hard to do. But back in the day, he was very proud of his work for the Violence Against Women Act, VAWA. And he would do these events at the Naval Observatory, and he would get so angry during these events. And he would just say, "Excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm so passionate." But he would literally be screaming about no means no. And when a man raises a hand, well, I think, and then eventually in that speech, he would get to a point where he would say, "People always ask me, why do you get so passionate about this? Were you messed with when you were a kid?" He goes, and he would just drift the conversation right into his dad. "I did it because my dad was a good man. He would talk around he taught me this. No means no. The cardinal sin is for a man to raise his hands against a woman." That's what he would veer the conversation to. So everyone would go, "Oh yeah, that's right." But Joe Biden, when he was a young kid, lived in Pennsylvania while his dad was away. They were up there in Scranton. His dad was away working in Delaware, and Joe Biden shared a room with his bachelor uncle, one of those who drank a lot. He talked about
Yeah.
it.
Drunken
So I
uncle.
don't know, and
Movie there.
he to this day won't drink. He says he doesn't really say why, except that I don't drink because people in my family were alcoholics. He doesn't say who they were. He doesn't go beyond it, but that's what he said. So there's always something there in Joe's background that he veers away from, and probably in Hunter's too.
Well, I have to, as an intelligence officer, I just look at observable events. And one of the observable events, I'm not sure if Chris has the picture, but there's a picture, a black and white picture of Joe kissing Hunter.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and that thing is like, ho, 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 ho.
Right. That's
There
just
is
weird.
something not right about that picture. And
Yeah.
it is like, and so and then the other thing I have to look, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I'm coming up, my God, it's been 32 years next month.
Hey,
I haven't taken a drink.
congratulations.
Thank
Ask
you.
me,
Yeah.
you're still fine, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you. No, 32 years in June. So, don't take a drink. Keep coming back. We, when I recognize the addict. Oh, there it is. Yeah. There's that picture. It's like,
Yeah.
I get shivers just looking at it. It's like,
Yeah.
holy cow.
Oh,
And it's like, how did they think that was a good idea to release?
by the
mean,
way,
I
you
wanna-
asked for it. You asked for this
I did.
one.
Well, I know. I mean, Mike,
Yeah.
first, I want to hold this question for a second. Why do you think that was a good idea for them to release? But let me get to my rant real quick on addiction. So, Hunter has a very addictive personality. Clearly, hard drugs, prostitutes, all these things I think are taught behaviors, or not
Right.
taught necessarily, but experienced, and then they become something that creates a hole in your soul. And trust me, Hunter has a huge hole in his soul. But
Right.
why do you think that the Biden folks thought that releasing that picture, even taking that picture, was a good idea? I mean, wow.
Yeah. Well, knowing them as I do, their comms team, this was Joe telling him, look, I'm going to make Hunter look good. And this is Joe's way of doing that. And it's almost like a grooming photo. He's trying to groom us.
Yeah.
And it's just bizarre.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it is a bizarre photo, and I also put a glimpse of him kissing his. I'll put that up again. He's kissing his granddaughter here.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand. It probably looks bad, but the
It
fact
does.
is,
It
this
is
one
bad.
black and white, and this may be a candid shot, but this one, the one you refer to with Hunter Biden and kissing, was actually, I mean, it was posed. It was planned.
Right.
And and again, when you talk about grooming, when you talk about trying to make certain things normal, you summed it up, Mike, where you talked about Biden's association. Yes, he claims to be Mr. Catholic, but which cardinal does he, let's just say, work with, or had he worked with all these years? That
Right.
the one who was by the way, it's not
Using.
only him. A lot of politicians in Washington consorted with that particular cardinal from both sides. So
Yeah.
this is something that's prevalent all throughout the establishment right now. And while we're watching Donald Trump being maligned over anything, and and we're being told that he's going to be dangerous to democracy, it's almost the entire collective is trying to protect itself from something.
Right.
And when you look at pictures like this, what are they trying to protect themselves from?
I want to hit that real quick. So part of our job, I always talk about this, Mike, on the other programs we have. Our job is not DEI, it's EIE. It's educate, inform, entertain. And EIEIO, if you say educate, inform, entertain, and then go, oh my, just like George Takei, just saying.
I'm
anyway,
the DEI hire.
my point being is that
I'm Italian.
well,
so
you know,
diversity, equity, and Italian.
I told. Oh, by the way, do you know what a formal Italian dinner is, Chris? Just real quick. What it is?
It's a lot of
No,
pasta.
that's
and
when all the
some
males
wine.
come to the table with their zippers up. Ooh, can I say that? I guess I could. I did say.
Oh, most of the
Anyway,
time. I mean, you
most
don't
of the
have to
time.
if you're wearing a suit.
So, by the way, so you go to if you go to an Italian restaurant in the Bronx, if you order something filleted, that means with the bullets taken out.
You can ask Brenda and Eddie.
That's right. And also, if you go to that same restaurant in the Bronx, you ask for, if you're a woman and you ask for a table with a view, they put you in front of the men's group and leave the door open.
This is why we don't sit with our backs toward the door, by the way. It's just a thing.
All right.
It's
I've expended
tradition.
my Johnny. By the way, those are all Johnny Carson jokes. So
Oh,
don't get upset with
hey-o,
me. They were from Johnny Carson's days. So just saying. But
hey-o.
back to the serious. So, but there are systems, and you mentioned it, Chris, and Mike, you see this. The system itself, and this is why I'm trying to make this point. Oh, it's too hard to believe that all this went on and we didn't notice it before.
Right.
Well, first off, Mike did notice and he documented. But there's a guy named Jimmy Savile, right, Chris? Jimmy
Yes.
Savile. Jimmy Savile was a well-known personality in British media. I think he worked for the BBC, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
And Jimmy used his official positions for decades to abuse kids. As a matter of fact, he was knighted at once. He was Sir Jimmy Savile. So my point is that there are people within a system, and in the case of of England, Jimmy Savile, there he is. Jimmy Savile was a, get this, a well-known and loved personality that everybody loved. Kids loved him. Well, I guess they loved a little too much, right, Chris? I mean,
A lot, and there were a bunch of those too, and I shudder to think how
yeah,
many weren't caught. I mean,
yeah,
and these were implanted in some throughout entertainment, throughout politics.
yeah,
We've seen this, but yeah, you don't expect, you don't suspect it, but these people find a way. These
right.
pedophiles find a way
That's
to
my
get
point.
near children.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And that's my point for bringing up Jimmy, because again, Jimmy was hidden in plain sight for decades. I mean, the
Right.
guy was knighted. He was so well loved. And yet
Right.
behind the scenes, he was constantly taking liberties. And I'm being polite here. There's actually a movie out about him right now. And I think people can catch where they go through and explore all this. And I think it's important. My point here is that while no one has proven anything regarding Biden, am I making allegations? I'm not making allegations. I'm saying there are things which look like a duck, sound like a duck. They go around and swim on the water like a duck. So I don't know, Mike. Do you think it? I think we're being reasonable in presuming that it's a duck in some form, right?
I had in my, I've always said, I've never heard anyone say specifically Joe Biden is a pedophile.
Yeah.
He sniffs kids. He's very friendly to kids. I never heard on it anybody in backroom staff chit chats talking about it. One thing that the backroom staff, females on his staff, his comm staff was all females, mostly, probably 90%. Sorry. They said they didn't like how he treated Jill. They said, they didn't like how he treated Jill because he sort of fawns all over the beautiful women right in front of her, and they didn't like that. But other than that, they didn't have like a person. But I do believe Tara Reid. I believe Tara Reid's allegation to Joe Biden 100%.
Yeah, me too.
I personally think she was a innocent staffer going to do an errand for him, and he was in the middle of some kind of anger thing in his head. He turns around and sees this girl stand in front of her, and he attacked her in a way that is obscene. But that's what's unfortunately what happened to her. She was brave and came out with it, and look what's happening to her. She's been persecuted into Russia.
Yeah.
So
let's go through this a little bit, because I want to break it out, Mike, and I'd like to have you help us understand some of the other headlines today, because I'm just going to walk through them because I think that the audience would like it when we go through and do topicality. So, James Carville, the mouth of the South, or is that Ted Kerner? There's so many mouths down there, I don't know which one to go through.
Yeah,
but
it depends,
James Carville,
on the day.
He's looking bad, like someone put him in a fryer and fried him up or something. I mean, it's like, God bless. He's all kind of like bacony. Is that a new look for old guys? Bacony? I mean, can I say, is that a term? Bacony?
It's possible.
Yeah, he does not look good. And I used to work with his wife, Mary Madeline.
Man.
She was Cheney's comms director back in the day when I worked with Cheney.
Yep.
And she has her challenges too. So, she's Republican, he's Democrat, but they're just deep state. Way to the end of way in the front of the line, deep state.
Well,
and
so,
I think he's just an old guy who realizes that something's getting away from his perspective of the last. 50 years.
He's part of. He and Hillary, they're all part of the neocon real lib thing. So he's now the Cajun, the Raging Cajun, the fried Raging Cajun, because he looks like he's been deep fried in Cajun sauce or Cajun.
Well, there was an interview with James Carville recently, and he was being
Yeah.
asked about his quote, "It's the economy, stupid," and
Yeah.
talking about the Biden campaign and how much danger he's in. So his response was, and I quote, "You shouldn't do that. He's just a boy. I'm gonna bring home them French fried taters. Gotta plug in. Funny, ha ha. I'm gonna bring them French fried taters home." And
That's
I
good,
think that's
Chris. I like that. And that sounds, that's his wife, isn't it? Does that too? Sounds like that. No, I'm just joking. She's a Republican, at least she said.
Yeah,
so. I don't know
yeah.
if I believe
She
by that
worked
or
with
not.
Cheney. She was Cheney's
establishment
best.
Republicans.
I don't know if I buy that. I
Right.
don't know. I don't know. We'll leave. Well, yeah, it looks like the Crypt Keeper. Trixie in the mix just said, looks like, yeah, well, the Crypt Keeper probably smelled better than Carville. Just saying. I don't
I
know.
thought that was Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah. No, Nancy smells like vodka and potted meat. It's a great combination.
The best separated birthday. I know I'm going way off topic here, but I have to say it.
Yeah.
What's it? Maxine Waters and Aunt Esther from
Yeah.
Sanford and Son.
Right.
Yeah, I love as a kid, I loved Sanford and Son. And
Me
I
too.
thought it was a great show. It was fun. It was funny.
Yeah.
So, well, let's move on to
Dummy.
something else funny. Well, let's move on to something else funny, which is back to Hunter Biden. So, surprise, surprise, Hunter Biden tried again to drop the gun charges. Who'd have thought that a guy who was living in Delaware, living the dream of hose and blow. I mean, why would he need a gun? I don't know. But apparently he's all worried. What? It's true. So vodka. Well, we're talking about now about Hunter. Vodka is Nancy. Nancy vodka. Vodka. Nancy Pelosi's middle name is vodka, right? Or is it Stolichny? I don't know which one is it. Chris, I forgot. One of those two. Anyway, back on Hunter. But Hunter again tried to get these gun charges dropped, and of course, the Secret Service is now denying they had any involvement. Mike, what do you think? I think the Secret Service interceded to help do that. I don't buy them denying it now. What do you think?
Well, my friends at Marco Polo have looked into this a lot. Garrett Ziegler and the Marco Polo guys.
Yeah.
One of their theories is that it was ex-Secret Service who
Ah.
knew the role, knew how to run the game up there in Delaware, working for Joe and Joe's operation. So it might have been just guys who said they were Secret Service and tried to pull a fast one over the gun shop owner. That's one theory.
Yeah.
But I mean, back to the gun story. This is typical. The nut doesn't fall far from the tree. Joe videotaped himself doing crimes. Hunter videotaped himself doing crimes. These are stupid people, and there is no way they aren't going to get convicted eventually for the crimes they videotaped themselves doing. Hunter's going to get convicted of something in this gun trial.
Well, Robert Barnes.
Maybe it'll happen because
what? Yeah.
I don't mean to jump in on you, Tony.
No, it's
but I do
interesting
wanna
you should
add
mention
this to
that. Yeah.
I did want to add this to the story just to throw it at you too, Tony, because
Go
Joe Biden and Hunter's wife pulled a Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton by meeting before this trial. And I believe I just want to throw that into you guys because when you say he's not going to get convicted or he might be, there is something to I believe there's something to this meeting.
Yeah, it could be that that's reasonable doubt thrown in and they, toss the trial and get it delayed. It may just be a delay tactic. Hey, let's, move this down the road so the trial actually happens after the election. It's definitely Joe being sleazy. I traveled with Hallie Biden once on Air Force Two in 2016. So he was close with Hallie and, that was when Hunter was with her sort of on the sly.
Yeah.
It's just, this is a sordid family and they're just out in the open about it in certain ways, thinking that nobody really sees beneath the surface. But Hunter left the laptop laying around. You can't get past that.
No, I know. So I'll hit that in a second. But back on Biden for a second. Robert Barnes, a great lawyer. Yeah, he mentioned that that Joe Biden is LBJ. He is LBJ's mentally deficient little brother, and I agree with that. No, he is. He is. He really is. Because LBJ, people have come to recognize LBJ was hugely corrupt. I mean, he too was sleeping with girls, young girls. Just saying. I mean, this has been, something that's, been well documented. And LBJ got into Texas, influenced Texas politics by getting old politicians to sleep with young girls and getting it on tape. So we're talking about kind of the two sides of the same coin here. Anyway, my point being is that when we look at Joe Biden, I mean, we have to look at him, unfortunately. We recognize that these issues have been something that have percolated uh, through his entire family. To your point, Mike, and I think when we look at the laptop now, I know Colonel Ron Scott. Ron was J.P. Mack's uncle. Now, Colonel Scott and I are dear friends. We worked together on a loose nukes project back about 12 years ago, where we were doing a study, which I can't get into the results of, but we were looking at what would happen or how would nuclear warheads go loose from the big countries and end up in some, target city. And so Ron, I trust because he's an Air Force graduate, still Air Force Academy graduate, fighter pilot, good guy. And he did his best, Mike, to get the FBI to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
A year before it was acknowledged, even by Rudy Giuliani, and the FBI wouldn't do it. So
Right.
how can you explain the delay? I mean, now for this trial, the FBI and DOJ are relying on that laptop that 51 intelligence officers said had the earmarks of Russian propaganda. It's like, yeah, right.
Right,
So,
exactly. And they're using that laptop as their evidence in this trial. That
right.
means that, and I use that laptop for every scrap of behind the scenes evidence I derived in the book that I wrote, The Case
Yeah.
for Impeachment from President Joe Biden. That means my book is more powerful than the president, because everything in it is true about his crimes that his Department of Justice is about to validate. So the FBI sat on that story, and now they're rolling it slowly out. The DOJ, and I think it goes a lot deeper than the DOJ. I think it goes into, there's sort of a deep state cabal, and it's part of also the operatives, the Biden operatives, and they're trying to hang on by their fingernails to this presidency through this, November election. They think that this trial against Trump is going to turn the corner for them, and they'll off to the races once they get what they expect out of this trial. And all of a sudden, it's looking like they're not getting what they expect, and they don't know what to do. So now they put together this trial. The timing of it is very interesting to me, because they knew Trump was going to be on trial. And when did they decide to when did David Weiss decide, hey, let's put this trial in June, and we'll just get Hunter up there. And, I think they're going to say we got a conviction. If the other side got a conviction, our conviction, sort of evens it out. I don't think.
Well, yeah, I want to go through my theory on that real quick. I do a quick read here. So we are sponsored by Colonial Metals Group. And right now we're talking through all sorts of chaos. You want to spare your family from chaos. And the way to spare your family from chaos is being prepared. Having hard currency, having those things which you can rely upon in times of financial pressure and economic turmoil is what you need. So let the team of experts at Colonial Metals Group help you protect your family's future. We put together a special offer for the audience. Click on the link below. The link is going there, I believe. Yeah, there it is. And you'll have a special 800 number you can call, 800-805-4034, 800-805-4034, and get this deal. Or click on the link, colonialmetalsgroup.com. Ed Henry, we work for Ed. Ed's a good boss. He tells us to say that, so we do. And be sure and check us out. And then this special deal, you will receive a safe, which is cool. I got a safe, but it's for guns, but that's a different story. You need a safe, and up to $10,000 in free silver. Who doesn't want $10,000 in something free? And silver, because silver is going up in value. So again, check out our friends at Colonial Metals Group. You need to protect your family. They will help you protect your family. Again, 800-805-4034 or Colonial Metal Groups, colonialmetalgroups.com. Ed Henry. Click on the link. Okay, we're back now. So I want to share my theory of what's going on, Mike, and you can validate or refute it. I think that they're going to go for the Trump conviction. I think that, Bobby De Niro. I don't know if you caught. Did you hear that De Niro starting his transition to Roberta?
Yeah,
Robbie.
I thought you liked
Bobby.
Denise better.
Yeah,
Denise.
I think.
I heard yes.
Yeah, he's got that. That's what happens when you take too much progesterone. Was it what it called? Progesterone.
Estrogen.
Estrogen,
Estrogen.
yes. We
Yeah.
wouldn't know that. We wouldn't know that though, right? We
I
don't take
wouldn't
that
know
stuff.
that because
No
I don't
way.
take it. But anyway, so
Arr.
but anyway, so I think Denise is the name he might use. Denise De Niro. It has a ring to it, right? Anyway, but old Bobby, either Roberta or Robert, depending on the flavor, all kind of freaked out. And I think this is all about the Democrat Party trying to posture itself to justify Hunter's um, pardon, because what I think Biden's going to do is he would go on TV because he's already planning. This is a political event. Biden has already carved out time from the White House to say, "Oh, I didn't prosecute my political enemy." Like, really? Okay, and then say something depending on the outcome. We don't know what that outcome is going to be, but my theory is that they want to be able to pardon Trump and then pardon Hunter. What do you think?
Huh. Interesting. Um, you know, I know they hate Trump so much. They just it's palpable how much they hate him, especially the Bidens.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
And they're just out to trash him as badly and deeply as they possibly can. And
yeah.
I hopefully looks like it's falling apart. It's hard to tell. And everything about this year has been so fraught with tension because as much as we have a clear leader in the White House, and I've worked on presidential campaigns and every 2-year campaigns, off-year campaigns from 2002 on, all the way through. This is a really big lead for a presidential candidate in the polls at this time.
No doubt.
There's a sitting president who is literally dissolving in front of our eyes. And so I don't know, but we have this tension around what are their real intentions behind the scenes. So it's hard to tell with these guys. They have such operatives. They are so evil. I mean, just this stuff about them aligning with the Vatican, there's so much to it. And there's so much behind the scenes on other stuff they've done. So I really hope that our justice system comes through. I trust our system. I trust jurors. I've listened to grand jury testimony as a stenographer. I used to listen to that. Jurors are people.
Yeah.
They're like everyday people. They don't want to be messed up. They don't want their country messed up.
Well, keep in mind, remember that little girl who was the jury foreperson, if you will, with the indictment? And I forgot which indictment it was in New York City. She went on the interviews, she did the cycle. She did the circle of liberal stations, CNN, MSNBC, going, "Oh, it was so cool that I got to say that Trump was indicted. It was like really cool."
Yeah, she was a grand jury.
We're dealing with.
She was a grand jury forewoman in Atlanta, I think.
That's what it was. Atlanta, not New York. Excuse me. Then I apologize to all for the disinformation. If I want to disinform anybody, I can join the Democrat Party. But
that's right. Yeah, no, I remember that. And so that's, the grand jury is our community, 25 people sitting in a room, our community of that area. And this New York jury is 12 New Yorkers. They grew up with Trump in their town. I just trust the jurors. It only takes one. To sit everything down and say, you know what? I'm staying where I'm staying, and I don't care what you guys say. It only takes one.
It does. But then what happens to pressure? Here's something funny. Let's say there's one holdout in the Trump trial, one, and that person is not going to convict Trump. Then the judge tells him to keep going back in and back in. After a few more days, there's a little convincing going on, or maybe the juror thinks, well, I don't know if I want to have people picketing my house, like or throwing bombs in my mail, or throwing chemicals in my mail, or something like that. I'm going to be doxxed. I know I'm going to be the guy or the girl, so maybe I should convict them and just hope the appeal works out.
Well, there's two lawyers on that jury. And everyone looks at lawyers as being, the bottom of the barrel. But if they're real lawyers, they'll stand by what they believe in because it's their livelihood. It's what they studied in college. They live by that. It's important to them. So I think there's going to be something that happens out of this trial that is going to clean out this clean slate for the American judicial process. I really hope so. When it goes to a jury, it goes to the people. And we are the people. We still are, no matter what Joe Biden tries to pull. We are still the people.
Well, two other things I want to do. I want to cover with you, Mike. It's not necessarily in your wheelhouse, but I think it's important. By the way, did you want to show the people Joe Biden's favorite pastime besides having kids up to his private suite? Chris, did you?
Is it this eating
there
ice
it is.
cream?
There it is. Yeah, there he is. There's ice cream brain. So Cotton Eye Joe or Cotton Candy Joe. I don't know what it is. So maybe they could do that. Could be a challenge for someone, Chris. They could do a parody song of Cotton Eye Joe to Cotton Candy Joe. Wouldn't that be something?
There we go. Or Cotton Hands Joe. See, he's a two-fisted ice cream eater.
Yeah.
When Barack can only hold one, Joe can hold two. He's the man.
Right.
So, by the way, a quick aside, Mike, did you know that Barack Obama bought and tore down the Magnum PI house in Hawaii?
I saw that recently, became aware of that, and what a tragedy.
Yeah. My friend Bob Hayes from Airplane, he played Stryker on Airplane. He lives not too far from him, and he said that it was atrocious. I don't think Bob minds me talking about this. I hope he doesn't, because I'll get in trouble if he does. Anyway, Bob and I are friends. So Bob was talking about the controversy that everybody said this is really hypocritical. First off, apparently there's no worry about climate change because he's buying a beach property. Like, I guess the water ain't rising.
Right.
And then he destroys this icon and he makes this horrendous, wall, by the way, a big wall on the beach. So, privacy, Barack Obama.
Right.
So just hypocrisy. Anyway, we love you, big Bob. Hey, Bob, if you're listening, I'll send you the link to this.
We're fans here.
Yeah, we all are friends here, actually. It's really kind of cool. Anyway, so, but the ice cream thing is interesting. But anyway, I wanted to bring up something from the holiday. There's the book. You need to go run out. Don't walk, run out to get the case to impeach and imprison Joe Biden. You'll be happy you did. By the way, Mike, is there I've always asked this of authors, is if you go to the back and open up, is there a scratch and sniff section that you can get the honey maple ice cream smell from Joe eating it? By the way,
no, we had to
I would do that if I were you.
We were under fire to get that thing out before the Christmas holidays, so we pushed that out.
Well, as a fellow author, as a New York Times bestselling author, my advice is, if you want advice, you don't need it, but put a little scratch and sniff of maple syrup in the back and say, this is Joe's favorite ice cream. So get that Joe Biden smell. That's good eating.
Oh, man.
Hey-o, another hey-o. That's a good one. There we go.
All right, one more thing before we go. We're having too much fun. Anyway, so over the weekend, I don't know if you saw this, Mike, Memorial Day is meant to essentially be a very solemn day, and people have a great time. It's the beginning of summer. I get it. But it's a very solemn day meant to mark the end of many people's lives who gave the last full measure of devotion, as Lincoln said, to the country. It's meant to honor our fallen dead. And yet somehow I missed this, apparently, and maybe you can help correct me, you and Chris. On what beach did George Floyd die during a war? I don't understand. I must have missed it. Was he in a firefight in Vietnam, or did he parachute into Normandy? But boy, everybody was celebrating George Floyd's death. I don't see the link. Am I missing something?
But that is one of the ugliest chapters in White House Democratic history. Just ugly, the whole thing.
Yeah,
it's embarrassing to the nation, though.
I don't get it.
Think about this. The guy is a criminal. So what you're basically telling people is your president worships a criminal, and he goes out of his way to memorialize as such criminals. Of course, he did eulogize a Klansman. So maybe that's not beyond him, if you think about it.
Right. Yeah. No. Biden was famous for his eulogies. I mean, he was the eulogy king. If you got a eulogy from Biden, it was usually had the church or synagogues. A lot of times it was Jewish guys, and he would do a great job for the family and telling them all his personal anecdotes. And that's where he got that real personal reputation being like just this great, trustworthy guy in DC because he's giving these great eulogies. But there's no reason in the world he should ever eulogize George Floyd. None at all.
Well, keep in mind,
No, but it wasn't just
he,
him; it was the entire clan that did it over the weekend. So
right. He celebrates George Floyd over the weekend and can't stay awake during the Memorial Day ceremony for the real soldiers. So
sleeping with Lloyd Austin.
telling.
I mean, he wasn't sleeping with Lloyd Austin; he was sleeping because of Lloyd Austin.
Yeah,
By the way,
can
I
see
know
that.
Lloyd Austin. He's like the Velmer, man. He starts talking, just so it's not all Biden's fault. I mean, it's just he was victimized by Lloyd Austin's smooth, silky smooth voice, right, Chris? He should have been a singer, right? Lloyd Austin.
Barry White. If he could have been Barry White's stand-in. There we go.
Barry White's backup singer.
No.
Oh my!
Come to me, baby.
We've had fun with you today. I'd like you to come back and continue. Especially, I want to talk about the church and China and Joe Biden helping compromise that. Would you be willing to do that for us at some point soon?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be doing another Substack in a couple of days. The Substack is Midnight in the Laptop of Good and Evil. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Unauthorized, and my book is on Amazon and on Barnes and Noble, The Case to Impeach and Imprison Joe Biden. And now it's more powerful than the President of the United States. It will put him in jail. Yeah.
So we want to have you back because it's not that we want to put people in jail, but maybe Joe Biden would be better off. As a matter of fact, I think in jail you're under controlled conditions. You don't have to worry about, having to go places because people kind of show you where to go. They show you where to eat. And I think he'd probably have a really good selection of tapioca puddings to pick from for his meals, right? I mean, I think it's a win-win for Joe Biden. I think, right, Chris?
No ice cream for him, though.
No,
red water and
tapioca
pudding.
Tapioca and plenty of Depends undergarments. Just under a lifetime supply. So
maybe Nancy will bring some ice cream from her freezer.
Nancy, vodka flavored. What does vodka flavored ice cream taste like exactly? Anyway, I've always wondered about that. But
it's not so bad. I mean, I wouldn't know.
I think it tastes like polar bear. Just saying. I think they make it up north. The Stolitsna. So, did you know that Stolitsna makes spiced vodka? I used to, back when I was drinking a long time ago, we would drink spiced vodka, and man, that stuff burns coming in and going out. Just saying. Anyway, one last thing before we go. Again, we were sponsored today by Colonial Metals Group. Help them protect you and your family and protect your future. They've put together a special offer. Check on it. Look at the link. You will be able to receive a safe, a really cool safe, and up to $10,000 in free silver if you sign on. So call this number, 800-805-4034. Again, 800-805-4034. Or more importantly, click on the link below. You see it right there. Click on it. ColonialMetalsGroup.com, Ed Henry. So, man, thank you all for joining us today. You've been great. We love you guys. We'll be doing more of this. Chris and I are I think we got 2 days a week now, right, Chris?
If they rolled the dice after this, yes.
They rolled the dice and said, well, these two knuckleheads can probably fill in for Ed on occasion. So we got, I think, Tuesdays and Wednesdays now. And you'll be seeing us kind of tailor the program. We're going to bring you other great people like Mike McCormick. We're going to bring some of the regulars. We got George. We're going to bring in George Galella from Ed's team. We've got some other folks we'll bring on who are kind of from our
surprises. There we go.
Yeah, our rock and roll and Hollywood friends. Not everybody in Hollywood's crazy. Well, maybe they are, but they're kind of crazy, right?
We need one of those fine-tooth combs to find them, but we have found some.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for being here today. It's been great. Mike, again, thank you for joining us. Tell us again about your book and your Twitter.
Twitter is Joe Unauthorized, at Joe Unauthorized on Twitter and Truth Social. And the book is The Case to Impeach and Imprison Joe Biden, More Powerful Than the President Who Doesn't Know What He's Doing, but is very bad at it. And
That's right.
Evil guy. So
again, power of positive thinking. Vision Joe Biden wearing orange and being president. So it's a very positive thought for the day, right?
That's right.
Smurfy.
So that's right. So anyway, we'll see you again. I guess we're off now. I mean, we're off now and we're off tomorrow, but we'll be back next Tuesday and next Wednesday. So say goodbye to the good folks, Chris.
Good night to the good folks, Chris.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Mike. And we'll see you all again next week, and you may see me pop in on Ed's other programs as well. So take care. We'll see you soon. Bye.